Rant came about because when I was navigating the music industry, as I was getting into bigger and better rooms and working with bigger and better artists and going to bigger and better studios, um, I was recognizing that there was a lot of inaccessibility and non-awareness about disability, and that was hindering me being able to do my best in these amazing rooms that I was getting in. And, it's one thing for me to advocate for myself and say, hey, can you make this or that for my situation? And it's another thing for me to say, hey, I just want to make the entire industry better for people like me. And that's where Ramped came about.
You're traveling on the airwaves of Power 8 Radio.
Okay, so hello everybody. Welcome to another super special episode of PAR Meet the Artist. My name is Pali. I'll be the host of the show. Welcome to Power 8 Radio. And today I have such an incredible guest for you. If I get my guest to please, if you introduce yourself, tell us your name, tell us where you're from, and obviously we know you're an artist, but tell us what you do, please.
Yes, my name is Lachi, like Versace. I am based here in New York City in the States. I am a globally touring recording artist, a charting songwriter. I am a disability and mental health inclusion activist and advocate. And God, I just do so much. I guess I'm a media personality and a writer. Really, anything that empowers folks who are different to create and be their best self. That's pretty much what I do. But the majority of what I do is through song, through music. I am also on the Recording Academy Grammys board. So I do a lot of service in the music industry as well. So I'm just everywhere. Okay.
That's really, really, really incredible. Because yeah, you wear so many different hats. So I'm going to start with the music side. So how long have you been doing music for?
My mom said that I was playing the piano against her womb before I was even born. So I have been playing music since a very, very young age, let's say 4 or 5. I would make all of my stuffed animals sit in a circle and sing all of my creations. And I took that love of music with me through high school, through college, where I would play the piano in my dorm and everybody would come and surround me while I was playing. And it turned into this whole big thing once a week. Then that moved me to New York, where I studied music at New York University. And then I got a day job and then realized my spirit was too big for the desk. So I got signed to a label, and after moving around different sort of labels and management, I really found a really nice spot doing dance, electronic, and pop music as a songwriter and placing my songs as a songwriter. And then finally, folks were like, you know what? You really should step into being a whole artist because you have a story to tell and just beyond the songwriting. So when COVID hit, I jumped full head into my artistry alongside my advocacy. And that's essentially the nutshell of my journey from playing the piano in the womb to this piano you see behind me.
Wow, I really like that. Because yeah, that summarizes it perfectly, from the beginning to right now. And you mentioned about EDM music. Well, your music blends pop, EDM, and dance. What draws you to these genres?
One of the things I love is really getting your heart pumping, really getting your heart moving. There's something that really combines getting your heart pumping and almost like the trance-like transcendental discussion of repetition that happens with electronic dance music that I love, whether I'm rapping over it, whether I'm singing over it. I really just kind of love the fact too that for the most part, people hear your vocals and they may or may not know what your race is. They may or may not know what you look like. They're just here to enjoy the music. So that's one of the things I loved about electronic and dance music. Also, it's very community oriented. So some people think dance music and they're just like, oh, dance music is a genre. But there's so many genres in under dance music. There's trance, there's drum and bass, there's, Chicago dance, there is New Jersey go-go. There's so many different genres to dance and cross genres. And all of these genres have these really, really tight-knit, very supportive communities. And so I love to sort of jump through the different genres within dance music and really get involved with the different communities. Now, the other thing I will say though, is when I tour live, a lot of the times I'm actually doing acoustic sets. So I'll release a dance track and then I'll go perform at like a art center or a venue and I'll bring my piano and I'll do like a stripped down acoustic piano version of my songs. And I'd started getting a lot of feedback that people were liking those a lot and were upset that after my show they couldn't find it on Spotify because you could only really get it live. So over the last year, I've been releasing piano vocal renditions of my dance music as well. And I've really, really been enjoying that.
Wow, that's really cool. I like that. Thank you for that answer. And you know, can you talk us through your creative process, when writing and producing a track?
Sure. Listen, it all starts from my experience as a human being running around in the world, right? And so I don't know if I mentioned this whole time, but I am both legally blind and neurodivergent, right? And so I experience the world very differently than other people experience it. So let's say, for instance, somebody may see something and that inspires a song. For me, it will generally be, let's say I live in this hustle bustle of New York, and maybe I find this beautiful moment of quiet that I didn't notice I would get. That could spring a whole song. Or maybe I'm on the train or, walking down the street, and then somebody smells funny. And that inspires a whole song. And so it all starts with my experience as a human in the world. That's where sort of things begin to churn and make a four-dimensional creation. After that, it varies the sort of more technical process. It could be anything from me being in the shower and then a song just comes to mind. It could be that, maybe something really awesome happened or something very terrible happened. And so I go home and I sit in front of my piano with like a glass of wine and then something comes out. It could be that I am in a writing room with a bunch of other creators out in Los Angeles or in Amsterdam and we're just vibing together and a beautiful song comes out. One of the things that I've been doing a lot are called songwriting camps, where you guys are kind of you're thrown in a room by your different managers and they say you don't get to leave until you have a hit song. It's not that bad, but and so I've been doing a lot of songwriting camps and a lot of really great music has been coming out that way as well. So all of that is to say that there are so many different ways that the process can happen, but it always starts with like an organic human moment that springs like this idea of either true joy that came from suffering or true suffering that came from loneliness or a memory or nostalgia. That's where it all starts.
Wow, 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 wow. That's really, really deep. Thank you. And I had other questions, but I'm going to actually bring this one forward. So you created a movement, so called so it's recording artists and music professionals with disabilities,
Yes.
AMPD. So can you tell us a bit more about its mission?
Absolutely. So Ramped came about because when I was navigating the music industry, as I was getting into bigger and better rooms and working with bigger and better artists and going to bigger and better studios, um, I was recognizing that there was a lot of inaccessibility and non-awareness about disability, and that was hindering me being able to do my best in these amazing rooms that I was getting in. And, it's one thing for me to advocate for myself and say, hey, can you make this or that for my situation? And it's another thing for me to say, hey, I just want to make the entire industry better for people like me. And that's where Ramped came about. It started during COVID, and I started looking around for other folks who weren't just folks with disabilities who were interested in music, but folks who were already navigating the music industry in a professional or established way that had either a disability, whether it was physical or sensory or a learning disability, or if they were neurodivergent, or whether they had a mental health condition like long form anxiety or depression, or whether they had a chronic condition like, I don't know, lupus or diabetes or sickle cell or ADHD. Like it's a wide spectrum, right? But as long as you're navigating the music industry or the live entertainment industry or the audio technology industry in a way that you're making it happen, but you just need that support, that community, those resources, those are the folks I wanted to find. And we started coming together and recognizing that it was the isolation was the what was bad. Today, Ramped does two things. Our organization is a consultancy group and a professional networking platform. As a consultancy group, we work with music industry entities and live entertainment industry entities like Sony, the Recording Academy, Netflix, gosh, you name it, Live Nation, to do trainings and consultations and programming and partnerships so that the music industry as a whole can be more aware and inclusive of disability culture, etiquette, and inclusion. But as a music industry networking platform, we're the musicians, the creators, the artists, the producers, the engineers, the agents, the managers, the executives, and the administrators who work within the music industry who identify with disability and neurodivergence, et cetera, coming together to be a power building network. And on that side of things, we have everything from ways we support creators, artists and songwriters and producers, which is through song camps, which is through grant opportunities, which is through travel support, and which is through resources. We have ways that we help support and develop industry side professionals. So that's, managers, agents, executives, and administrators, et cetera, A&Rs. And that's through, matching mentorships. That's through, again, resources. That's through networking opportunities and career development opportunities. So we have so much going on and so many people calling our phones. And it's all because, one day I was like, hey, I can't be the only one. And it turns out I'm not.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow. Wow. That's really cool because it's not even just we're talking about music. So usually we'll do PR meet the artist for music and then PR real talk for, things like neurodivergence or
Sure.
EJ, but you're bringing it all together. So it's a lot of questions to go for, limited time. So, and, because now going from your answers there, you've been doing music for a long time to now where you're a powerful advocate for disability inclusions in the entertainment industry. Um, how do you think things have changed from then till now,
Yeah.
and what still needs improving?
Oh, that's a good question. So I feel like things have changed because, when I started Ramped, right before I started it, one of the first questions I got was I would go to these recording studios or some of these large music organizations, and I would say, what is your, accessibility policy, or what do you do for disability inclusion? And they would come back and they would say, well, the only music people we know are you and Stevie Wonder, right? And so I kept saying, like, that can't be right. So today, that question is answered. No one can say that they don't know about music professionals who openly identify with these conditions because Ramped has answered that question. We have a large growing directory of over 100 peer vetted professionals and nearly 1,000 community non-peer vetted folks navigating the music industry in this way. So we answered that question. Secondarily, you would think that everyone from venues to, I don't know, production houses, that they'd be afraid, right, to deal with us because it'd be like, oh my God, maybe I'm not being compliant. Maybe I'm not getting it right. They're going to slap us on the wrist and they're going to tell us we're doing everything wrong. But it's really funny because it turns out the music industry, at least who we've been dealing with so far, has been waiting for us. They've been waiting for somebody that can speak to them eye to eye, that really understands what the music industry is, does, and entails, um, to speak to them about this issue instead of just being advocates that are going to slap them on the wrist. Essentially, Ramped is for the industry, by the industry. And so that's why it works so well. And so, we're finding that people actually want to have this discussion, especially when we talk about safety, safe spaces. So to make sure that you're safe. And when we talk about accessibility, when we talk about mental health and wellness, they are excited to have these resources and this community to talk about. So that's all of the great things. But listen, we all know that there is so much work to do. Um, you know, for a lot of the industry, we're constantly having, the first level conversations, right? Just, okay, it's okay to say the word disability. It's okay, this person that looks and acts different from you is not an alien. It's another human, and so it does get very frustrating to have to keep having these very basic conversations every time we get a new partnership or a new client. But the opportunity to do this work is I'm so honored and humbled to be that first person that folks talk to. Ramped gets to do this work. We're not upset to do this work. We're excited to do this work. And we're hoping that, as you know, music is one of the greatest and largest vehicles for cultural shift, cultural change, pop culture, what everybody wants to look at and be like and have a great time with. And so we're hoping that, similarly to how hip hop has elevated Black culture and how country music elevates rural culture and how different ethnic musics has uplifted these different ethnic cultures, we're hoping that through Ramped and our work in music, that we can begin to uplift disability culture.
Oh, that's a great answer. Thank you very much. And let me kind of move on to the next bit. I want to talk about your cane. I've been looking at them and they look really, really fancy. So your ground cane movement, so it's a whole movement, and it's really redefining assistive, refined assistive devices in fashion.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. What inspired you to think, that you do a lot already and you thought, you'll add that to it, or what brought that about?
Yeah, absolutely. So, when I was really young, I was told that I was going to need to use a cane. I had much more vision when I was younger. And I just remember, I was like 8 or something. And I remember thinking to myself, I'm already being picked on. I'm already being outcasted. I don't want to use the cane because it's just going to make it even worse. Right. And so I kept navigating through life without a cane and just free balling it through life, even though my vision was getting worse. And what ended up happening one day, I remember in my early 20s or something, while I was trying to navigate getting a music deal, right? I go to I got invited to this really swanky industry party by a big A&R. And those are the people that sign people to deals, right? So I go to the party, no cane, and it's too dark and I can't see anything. And so I get scared and I don't say anything to anyone and then I leave, right? And then I found out later that the A&R that invited me was there and was upset because he waved me over to come talk to him and I didn't see him and he felt snubbed, right? And so I lost that record deal. And that's when I realized, like, oh my God, I need to advocate for myself. I need people to know, first of all, that if they wave at me and I don't wave back, it's because I can't see them. Like, I need to get in front of this because it is hurting my career. So I started using the cane, and it was scary, of course. But I was already navigating the music industry, and it was like, look, you already know my work is good. So I'm still me. And that ended up, so as I started going to parties and galas and all these like swanky events, I started recognizing that boring white and red cane was just not matching all of my dresses, right? So I started to glam up my canes. I started to put It started with glitter, and that was not sustainable. So now I'm using rhinestones, and now I have glam canes that match every outfit, and they're conversation starters. I don't miss a wave ever again. And I gotta say, I'm so much more confident than I was when I wasn't using the cane. You know, when I was a kid, I said I didn't want to use it because everyone would make fun of me. But now it's kind of having the opposite effect, right? It's making me more confident. I can freaking get around in the first place. But also, it looks fun. It's a conversation starter. And so people started seeing me with these canes and they were like, where do I get one? Right. A lot of other folks in the blind community or whatever. So we started giving them out to other blind influencers. Then we started selling them. Now they're just selling like hotcakes. We have young girls out here with these canes, young men out here with these canes. I've seen some really good looking blind guys with like an all black rhinestone cane to go with a suit. Okay. So it's not just girls. And then we started getting orders for quad canes and walkers. And so now it just keeps exploding to the point where non-cane users are like, hey, how do we support? And so now we're about to be releasing t-shirts that are glammed out so folks who are not cane users can support what Glam Canes is doing. And just Glam Canes are everywhere. And the beauty of it is that when I was young and I said I didn't want to use a cane, I was contributing to erasure. I was contributing to no one understanding blindness, no one seeing blindness, no one seeing the cane. And now what these glam canes do is they combat that erasure. They combat, the unawareness, and they are a celebration of the joy that I find in my disability.
Wow, 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 wow. Truly, truly, truly inspiring. I must say, really inspiring. And you do all of this. How do you combine, balance it all out? Being an artist, an advocate, an author. How do you find that much time in the day? Or maybe you have more than 24 hours than the rest of us, maybe?
I have 8 days in a week. No, frankly, I have one goal. And my goal is to use pop culture to elevate disability narratives and this narrative of different to mainstream conversation. And, I've noticed that when you try to change a system that is oppressing you, I know that I'm not going to be able to change it by dismantling it because I don't want us to all live in huts and start from scratch. I know that I'm not going to change a system by trying to be that one beacon and try to do incremental change by, I don't know, becoming that one, being a politician or whatever. Just the incremental change isn't going to do it. I've learned that the way to change a system is to get the people benefiting from that system excited to change it with you. And I do that through music. I do that through storytelling, through humor, through fun, through fashion, through my writing and through my art, through my power building and through my advocacy. So the reason why it doesn't feel like I'm doing so many things is because I'm actually only doing one thing. And that one thing is using pop culture to elevate disability narratives and this narrative of different and the power of difference to mainstream narratives.
Wow, that is really, really powerful statement. Really, really.
Thank you.
And if you do decide to run for office, you can count my votes.
Hey, thank you. I have one vote.
So let's cover this bit as time is kind of running on. That you do all of this maybe. So where are the go-to places? Do you have a website that we can visit? Your social media? What should we search for?
So if you want to continue knowing, growing, and loving all things Lachi, you can find me at Lachi Music, which is LACHIMUSIC.com, as well as Lachi Music on socials, Instagram, the TikToks, the Spotifys, everywhere you want to be, I am there. And you can find out about our new music we're releasing. We'll be releasing a new song called DisEducation, a dance remix on April 4th. And that is in conjunction with Apple to App of the Black Eyed Peas. I'm really excited about that one. You can find out more about my writings. We'll be releasing a book coming up called I Identify as Blind. I'm really excited to eventually get that release date and reveal that cover. And of course, all of my fashion all over Instagram. And the other thing is, if for whatever reason you are a recording artist or a music professional with a disability, whether you're an A&R, whether you're a producer or an engineer, whether you're a manager or an agent, whether you are a songwriter or a composer, or navigate the music industry in any way, and you have any of these conditions, and remember, disability is way beyond just physical disability, come find us at RAMPD, rampd.org. And you can find us on Instagram and all of the socials. But we are here to continue to power build and change the world. So come see us.
Perfect. It's like you've done this before. You asked three questions in one right there, which is great. I like
Really?
that.
This is my first interview I've ever done.
Let me kind of go into this question, as in, what would you say? Let's put it this way: like, what would you say to your younger self, looking back at how much you've achieved now, and what you're doing? What would be, and maybe that same advice will go for people that are just looking to start in the industry and have any type of disability. What would be your advice?
What would be my advice to my younger self or to folks? I would say be open. Be open to yourself and accepting who you are. Be open to the opportunities that are right in front of you that you're closing yourself off to because of your own internalized fears, internalized ableism, internalized stuff. Recognize that those internalized racism or internalized sexism, all of that stuff you feel, that's not you. That is everything around you that is in front of you and beating at you, but it's not you. Who you are is this magical, amazing person that can achieve so much as long as your needs are met, as long as people see you, as long as people hear you, you can accomplish so much. So don't hide your light. If I could say anything to my younger self, it's give yourself a chance. I was so shy. I was so afraid. I was so afraid to talk or do anything. I was afraid of everything. And I was always so angry at myself because of it. I always felt I was doing things wrong and I was always embarrassed. And I'm like, hey, give yourself a chance. It's going to be awesome. Give me a chance. Give me a chance to exist. That's what I would say to my younger self.
Wow. Well. I think I'll take that as myself at the moment, right now. And let me ask one of my kind of random questions. So if you could create a Lachi ice cream, so this ice cream that describes you and what you do and what you stand for, what sort of flavors would it be? What would it be called, and what's in it?
Oh my gosh, that's so random. That is very random. Well, it would be it would be called the it would be called the well, I don't know what it'll be called yet. Probably yeah, Power Berry. Yes, I like that. It'd be called the Power Berry. And at its base, it would be chocolate. Okay, so let's just keep it real. And it would be a little nutty. Okay, so it'd have a little nuts. Um, it would definitely be sweet, you know? So there would be a sweet center, chocolate all around, a little nutty. And when you eat the ice cream, you never really ever get to the bottom. because it lasts forever.
Wow. Wow, 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 wow. Wow. That sounds like a very incredible description.
Did I get it? Did I do it right?
Well, I think we should make one.
Yes, I'll look into that.
Awesome. And if you could collaborate with any artist, dead or alive, to do that one kick-ass show, who would it be? And yeah, why? Why that person?
You know, I I would love to just continue to collaborate with amazing people who are open about their difference and really embrace it. Like right now, I'm working with Apple to App of the Black Eyed Peas. He is also legally blind. I'm doing some work with this amazing artist named Medusa, who is neurodivergent. Definitely check them out. They're really, really great. Um, I am currently collaborating with this amazing artist named Chris Redding, who also celebrates neurodivergence, Grammy nominated artist. I'm doing some work with Andrew Birkin, who is also a legally blind children's artist. And we're working on a children's album celebrating neurodivergence and disability for children. And so I just want to keep that momentum going of finding other artists that are as passionate as me about both art and advocacy and making that whole thing work. I recently met up with Stevie Wonder at NAMM. So let's see if we can make that happen. I'll put that into the universe. But honestly, I mean, I think I love who I'm working with, and I just want to keep finding more artists, creators, and producers who align with my message because that's just what keeps me going and just makes me feel really good.
That's really, really cool. You have worked with a lot of different artists, and yeah, as you mentioned, Stevie Wonder, you did whole thing with him there. So all that people just have to go and watch this on social media. You create really, really great content. And yeah, so as time is running out, any final closing remarks from you, and what's for us to look forward to in the near future?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, I want to thank you so much for having me. Again, I just want to elevate that I have a book that's going to be coming out soon called I Identify as Blind that celebrates the power of difference. I have a song coming out called DisEducation with Apple to App starting in April. So really excited about that. And of course, we're always just putting out content. So come see us over at Lachi Music. And again, come support us over at Ramped. Thank you so much for this platform and sticking with me through the end.
Oh, thank you so, so much for coming on the show. It's been inspiring and yeah, truly, truly blessed to have you on the show. So yeah, until we meet again, it's been a pleasure. Take care.
You as well.
More music variety on Power Ace Radio.